I am Sarah. I read as Sora the Intuitive for Sky Messages by Sora. I am a tarot reader who specializes in past life readings. I also teach and mentor the tarot. I have two journals, one for learning the tarot and one for more learning yourself and deepening the connection with your deck. That one's a collaboration with Killer Pancake, who makes a couple of the decks I'll be reviewing. The reason I started this channel, and specifically this series, the tarot review series, is that I really want people to be able to have a connection. I want anyone who wants to do the tarot to be able to learn it. And a lot of times people get really frustrated because the first deck that they start using, they don't really connect with. And so I'm hoping that instead of getting frustrated or spending a lot of money on decks that they then realize they don't want, people can sort of start to learn what their style is, what theme they're looking for, what kind of imagery works for them, and help people find the right decks for them. I do believe that if there is a tarot deck out there, there is an audience for it. And if there is somebody who wants to learn, then there's definitely a deck for them. So this won't have star ratings. This won't be about what's good and bad. It'll be about the details, such as the guidebook, a level that it's good for, like basic to advanced. It will be, how close it is to the Rider-Waite or the Tarot de Marseille, or the Thoth for those who prefer that. And it will just give people a look and hopefully help them start to begin their journey. Or for those of us who have been on their journey for a while, but are thinking about new decks and testing out different things, give them a preview. So there are some of the decks behind me, but if there are any you're interested in, let me know. And let's get started. For this week's tarot deck review, we are looking at the Fantasy Tarot, also known as the Spirit Tarot, the Spirit Halloween Tarot. It is most often found in novelty shops. As you can see, I got mine at Spencer's. It is also the deck that you see if you watch Schitt's Creek. There's an episode where Twyla is doing tarot readings. This is the deck she's using. Comes in this very nice box, sturdy. It does not have a guidebook or therefore a spread, so we're not going to look at that, but it is the current standard size for tarot. It shuffles really good. The cardstock's pretty thick, but not so much that it gets in the way. It is very good at fitting that fantasy creature theme, although that's a god. There's a lot of gods worked in, but it's good at fitting like the mythology kind of theme. Most of the cards, I wouldn't say the imagery or the subject of the card is necessarily exactly fitting with the tarot. For example, for the wheel, they use the Wheel of Fortune, which fits for the picture, but the Inquisitor really doesn't fit the theme of the card. You can make it. There are definitely ways to work that in. The Wheel of Fortune, if you read from the Rider-Waite-Smith tradition, is more about good luck and good fortune. In my tradition, it is more about a change in luck or fortune, so you could look at that there. But it's generally about things trending upward. So it's an interesting one to me. They did keep the suits with their element, which helps a lot. For the most part. You see the Four of Cups is a ghoul. There's not a lot of water there, except if you really look it's trapped in the mud. There's been like a flood. So they do work in that, like the idea of element. And there are some that fit really well, but it kind of seems like a lot of times that sort of fitting is an accident. But the cards, the pictures are really fun. And it's interesting to kind of make things work for yourself sometimes. So in terms of like tradition, I would say they probably pulled from a few of them, but this is one of those decks that is mostly the theme is the theme, which is why it's very nice that they have the names on them. But it is a really fun deck. It is great for people who know the meanings of the cards and read more by meaning than by pulling from the picture. It's not a deck I would recommend to beginners unless you were someone who does more of the memorizing, because, or have learned the system, just because the cards aren't really going to teach you the meaning. But it's also not a hard deck, so if you are a beginner, but you have good guides and stuff, that's not bad. But it is a fun deck. It is great at Halloween. It's great if you love the imagery or Schitt's Creek, even though it is just that one episode. It's not bad for intuitive readers, but I'm not sure it would be my first choice. But all in all, I do think it's a fun deck. It's a great one to have in a collection. It would just be best for those of you who are drawn to it. But I do appreciate that they kept the suits and the court card names the same. That's always one of the easiest ways, especially if you're learning, to keep things going. I do love the Hermit as the Yeti. I will say their Major Arcana fits a lot more. But all in all, they are really fun, and you can definitely make the meanings line up for yourself. Sometimes takes a little bit of imagination, but they are fun to read with. So I'm going to shuffle into our week ahead spread. While I'm doing that, I am going to thank you for liking, sharing, commenting. It really does help. It really helps these get to the people who are looking at these kind of decks or who are looking for a reader and get a chance to get to know me a little bit more. If you are interested in a private reading, please go to my website or contact me. There are bookings on my site, but if there's not a date or time that works for you, feel free to email me. I will be trying to, for Pittsburgh people, to make sure my website is up to date in terms of where I'm going to be, so you can always check that out. And follow me for more information there. For videos like this, a couple days early, as well as bonus videos, you can head over to the Patreon. There's some other stuff in the different levels. Things like secret menu items, discounts, but mostly it's the bonus videos and the early views right now. Always looking for input there. We are going to start the Three of Pentacles. Then we have the Ten of Wands and the Four of Wands. So the Three of Pentacles is a card of teamwork. Sometimes it speaks to collaboration, but often it asks who is doing the most work. It kind of looks like this dwarf has taken on his enemy all by himself. He's supposed to be with his group, his side, and it seems like it's just him. Whether that's because something has happened to the rest of them, I don't know. But in terms of what this means for you, this is asking you if you are the one pulling all the weight in a situation. Whether this is a group project for work, for school, or friendships. Are you always calling and setting things up? Are you always the one putting in the effort? It is asking you to review that and maybe make some changes. Having that with the Ten of Wands, which is my card of hard work but worth it, is really interesting, because it feels like as we examine these, you are going to see a lot of places where maybe you've been taken advantage of, not necessarily maliciously. People don't always know they're doing this, but in terms of people overstepping, people taking more without giving, and it's going to take a lot of adjustments to be able to right that, to be able to get back to a more common ground, back to a place where everyone is doing their share, but ultimately it will be worth it. So I do love these two together. And then we have that with the Four of Wands, which is often referred to as a card of weddings and baby showers and those sort of celebrations. But the thing I always like to point out there, which you'll know if you've watched enough of these, is that it's really about who you bring those things to. You know, it's not a card of like concerts and public gatherings. It's a card of gathering for family and friends, and it asks you who you have there. Altogether, that suggests a shift not only in relationship dynamics for the people that you need to adjust those with, but also maybe a shift in who those people are. There are probably going to be people who push back. There are going to be people who can't meet you and do the work. What are you going to do about that? This card's asking you to make sure there's always someone in your corner. Good luck. Have a wonderful week.